And in the Impact segment tonight, the Hume Zone, even though President Obama is getting hammered by the Catholic Church and Republicans over the contraception situation, the latest Rasmussen daily tracking poll is the president's approval rating holding steady at 50%, with 48% disapproving. So, did the controversy hurt the president at all? Joining us now from Boca Grande, Florida, Britt Hume. All right, first of all, before we get to that, Wallace asked Jack Lew, the new chief of staff, hey, 3 years ago, the president said he would cut the deficit in half, and he didn't. How come? And Jack Lew says something that I don't understand. But I'm sure you're much smarter than I am. You understand. He didn't answer the question, though, did he, Lew?
He didn't. He did not answer the question directly. But what he did say is of interest, which is that this budget, if you believe its numbers, would reduce the deficit as a percentage of the overall economy. That's important because even though you may be carrying more debt, if the economy is growing and is large enough, it can more easily carry the debt. That's what happened during the Reagan years. The deficits went up, but the economy grew like mad, and the debt was easily carried, and people stopped worrying about it. What's hurting right now is that the economy is sluggish, and the debt is growing, and it's hard for the economy to carry it all without dislocation.
Yeah, but no matter how good the economy is, I don't think you're going to feel comfortable carrying a $16 trillion debt when you have to borrow money. You have to borrow the money to pay the interest on the debt, Hume. Come on.
That's correct. That would be less true if the economy began to grow and tax receipts. Right. But look, the assumptions of growth that are built into this budget, I think, are at odds with other projections.
I'm not going to speculate
extremely
about growth.
Rosy.
I just want the folks to know that Wallace asked a good question, and Lew didn't answer the question. I'm not crazy. All right, now let's get to the contraceptive thing. The cable news ratings for this story are not good. All right? That means that most Americans are not engaged in the conflict between the federal government, President Obama, and the Catholic Church. They're not. They either don't care about it, they find it boring, they find it disinterested. Then you see the Rasmussen tracking poll where the president has not taken a hit. Is that the way it's going to remain? The people just don't care about this story?
Well, the trouble with a poll like that is, first of all, it's not a poll on this issue in particular. And the second thing is that polls have difficulty measuring one particular thing, which is important in politics, and that is the intensity of feeling. So my sense about this issue is that while the president may have gratified and to some extent fired up some of his base by what he did, guaranteeing this free contraception to all, and to women obviously in particular, the intensity on the issue seemed to me to be on the side of the Catholic Church and those who are worried about religious freedom, and I think that issue will continue to haunt the president to some extent, and will be a problem.
Let me put it in practical terms. I think what you're saying is that the president didn't gain a lot of currency on his side, on the left, because they would have voted for him anyway. But people who voted for the president last time around, Catholics, majority of them went for the president, they might be unsettled by this. And so he would lose in the long run because he would lose votes while he didn't gain very much. Is that what it is?
Well, I think that's the danger that lurks out there, and it remains to be seen how well this so-called accommodation will sell. I think it was a shell game and not very convincing to people who were concerned about this issue.
Do you think Americans want a welfare state at this point in our history? Because free contraceptive to all women, okay, it sounds good, but somebody has to pay for it, and it's going to be me and you and the rest of the folks who work for a living. We're going to pay for that. All right?
Yeah.
I think are we moving, though, me as a nation, are we moving toward, we want free stuff from the government, we're willing to sacrifice some of our freedoms to get it? Because that's really what this is all about, is it not?
Well, yes, that is what it's all about, Bill, and the question comes down to this. What happens is that people don't know they want or need a particular benefit, but once it arrives, whether they wanted it or not, once it arrives and they begin to make use of it and plan their lives around it or become accustomed to it, taking it away is extremely difficult. So this is the problem with entitlement spending, is that you get people dependent to one degree or another on these programs or these guarantees of one kind or another, and it is very hard to take them away. So you hit upon some hard economic times, such as those we're in now, and you see this explosion in deficit spending and this worrisome growth in the entitlement spending, and taking it away is the hardest thing in politics. Much harder than going to war, much harder than raising taxes. Reducing these kinds of benefits is the hardest thing in politics.
And that's what you're seeing in Greece.
Helps to explain what...
Yeah, that's why they're trying to burn down their own country, because they're trying to take stuff away and they don't want it. They don't want them taken away.
That's right, and that is also why you don't see any aggressive effort by this president to make good on his promise to have the deficit in his first term, because it's just extremely difficult.
All right. Brit Hume, everybody, living large down there in Florida.